Hey everyone, this is Pete. Welcome back to Atari A to Z, a series of short playthroughs of Atari 8-bit games. Some which I grew up with, and some which are new to me. Today is one of the latter. This is Yoomp, which I don't really know anything about, to be perfectly honest, so this is going to be a new one for me. I'm guessing from the graphics and the quality of the sound that this is actually a more recent release. So if we just look down at the bottom, let's see if there's a copyright date on this at all. We're just getting some instructions at the moment. Left and right ball control, fire, long jump. You can play with the keyboard as well. Any credits? Let's have some credits. That'd be nice. Tile info. Oh, this is going to take forever, isn't it? Oh, well, let's try and find out. I believe I have tried this game once in the past, but I don't remember a lot about it, so I'm going to be interested to give it another shot and see what's going on with it. Just tell me who it's by. Come on. You got a gap. Is that the beginning? We send thanks to the authors of the following programs. Lots of people who wrote emulators. So yeah, this is probably a more recent one. As I said. It's, Atari games are still being fairly actively developed by a lot of people, especially in 2007, there we go. Yeah, still being very actively developed, particularly by people in Eastern Europe. So I know Poland, Atari systems are still very strongly supported. And I think, I want to say Germany as well. I know there's some sort of Atari fan magazines that you can still get around the place at the moment. I forget the name of them offhand, but if I remember, I'll put a link in the video description or on Atari A to Z and or Moe Gamer. So, we've chatted enough over this lovely title screen, so let's see what's going on. Press fire to Yoomp. Yes, this is the game I thought it was. So, this is a game in which you sort of bounce along these tunnels in time with the music. So you don't have to actually physically remember to bounce yourself. But you do go around the sides of the tunnel yourself. You died. So you're bouncing automatically as you go through, and you've got a limited number of big jumps that you can use, but ideally you want to try and minimise their usage as much as possible and just try and navigate your way around without falling into the holes. There we go. That's the end of level 1. Alright, let's continue. Different colour this time. Very nice. Yeah, so part of what we saw in those instructions at the beginning was those different tiles have different effects when you land on them. So these ones with the arrows, for example, they do a big jump for you. So if you can land on those, you don't need to use your press fire to jump thingy. Oh dear. That looked awkward. It also appears there's checkpoints throughout the levels from the look of things as well, so... Oh no! Need to pay closer attention to where we're actually landing. So, as a more recent release for the system, this is obviously a lot more graphically impressive than something you would have seen back in the 80s or early 90s. The Atari was really... Oops. I don't really know where to go there. But yeah, as you can see, the Atari was really capable of some quite nice graphics. I mean, it was possible to get, I think, 256 colours on screen at once with a bit of hacking and fiddling around, but for the most part, detailed graphics tended to use shades of a single colour like we've got in this game, maybe with the interface being a slightly different colour. But yeah, I always think of this sort of style as very distinctively Atari. As a lot of the most popular games that were regarded as graphically impressive tended to have this kind of look about them. And that smooth 3D effect's really nice. This is not something I remember seeing in games from the period, but I do remember sort of the demo scene producing stuff that looked a bit like this. Well, let's try that again. Yes, the demo scene is quite well known today for sort of taking old hardware and pushing it pretty much to its limits, and often quite beyond its limits in a lot of cases, and sort of getting the absolute best out of it. And it's entirely possible that this game's existence is the result of the demo scene fiddling around with graphical effects and so on. Because like I say, I quite vividly remember seeing some old demos that we had back in the day that looked like this. They weren't interactive, so you couldn't control them or anything, but it had that sort of scrolling 3D effect, this sort of shades of a single colour thing going on, and that kind of thing. So yeah, it's not unreasonable for this to have started as some sort of non-interactive graphical demo and then built out into a game afterwards. And in fact, that's not even a particularly unusual approach for games from the era. Oh no, I can't do that bit. I don't understand how you're supposed to do that. But yeah, if we think back to sort of a few noteworthy graphically impressive classics from the period, Lucasfilm's games are a very good example. Things like Rescue on Fractalus, The Eidolon, Coronis Rift. All of those came about because of experimentation with graphical effects and demos and so on. How do you do that? How do you do that? And yeah, obviously, someone involved in this project has sort of developed some mastery over the Atari's Pokey chip as well, which is producing all those lovely sounds and music in the background. So the Pokey chip wasn't quite on a par with Commodore's SID chip that was in the Commodore 64, but that's how you do that bit. Oh god, that's really close. Yeah, so it's not quite on par with Commodore's SID chip in that it's not quite as flexible in terms of the sounds it can produce, but it does have a very distinctive sound that is very, very apparent in this music. So for those who like technical details, the Pokey chip, it had 4 sound channels, and you could control those using a number of different variables, basically. So if you were accessing it in BASIC, for example, you would use the sound command, and in the sound command you would tell it which channel you wanted to use, you would tell it the pitch of the sound you wanted to make, you would tell it how much distortion you wanted to apply to that sound, and then you would tell it the volume you wanted to play that sound back at. And so using various combinations of those variable factors there, you can produce all sorts of different interesting sounds on the system. Oh no. Now obviously there's a limit to how many different sounds you can make when you've got only like a set number of different types of distortion you can apply, and I think there are 15 volume levels and something like that. But the side effect of that is that it means that it's got quite distinctive sounds that you can recognise. So if you know what to listen for, you can recognise something that's been created on Atari 8-bit just by listening to it. Much as you can probably recognise some SID chip music, or music from the NES's sound chip, or even sound effects from the Atari 2600, which again made use of sort of quite a strict set of variables in order to produce quite a small set of specific sounds. Alright, we're on fire now. Done level 3. On to level 4, Minefield. This is going to be the end, isn't it? This sounds dangerous. Oh no. Oh no, that's unpleasant. Oh, that's cool. So the lightning tiles, they light the whole tunnel up again. This is a really cool game, actually. It's got quite a lot of depth to it, surprisingly. And I really like this sort of rhythmic aspect to it. So it's not quite a rhythm game as such, but you do kind of have to think of it rhythmically in some ways. And understand that your bounces, they're always going to be in rhythm. You're always going to land on the platform ahead of you. So it's not like a conventional platform game where you might not jump quite far enough. You know that a big jump is always going to be 2 tiles ahead because it's moving at that constant speed. It's always going forwards in time with the music. Yeah, and holding down the direction, you know that you're... Oh, no! Not paying attention to my own advice there. You know that if you hold down a direction, you're going to be able to get this far in this much time. So, yeah. So this is a really cool game. I'm very impressed. Oh, God. Right. I forgot to remember what the code was. Oh, we can just skip straight through it. You only need the code if you only need the code if you're sort of booting the game up from scratch and you want to start from there. Okay, so let's have one more go from that level 5 that we got to. Is this the one we got to? Yes. We just don't get to keep our score. That's okay though. Not entirely sure what that one that made the weird noise was. Oh. Oh, I see. That's cool. What does this one do? Now that one makes... I think that one forces you to jump sideways, maybe? Oh. Yeah. So there's a lot of memorization going on here, I guess. Understanding what all those different types of tile do. And knowing when the weird things are going to happen. It looks like you actually have to use a jump there. I was under the impression that you sort of didn't have to use the jumps at any point, just as a means of getting yourself out of emergencies, but maybe not. Yeah. Yeah, you've obviously got to do that there, because otherwise you'll just fall into that gap. So that one just pushes you down there. And you get here. Oh, you got to press it earlier, I guess. So around here. There we go. Lovely. So you got to press the jump button in mid-air, I think. And it does replenish your jumps at the start of a new level. So you can use those 3 without sort of too much guilt, as it were. So what is... Oh, I see. So those ones are go in one hole, come out the other. Ah, too bright. And in some of those tiles, I think they're just designed to disorient you a bit. Oh, that was unpleasant. Alright, I think that's probably enough of that for now. But yeah, definitely check this one out if you're after something that demonstrates what the Atari 8-bit is capable of in both the graphics and the sound department. I'm really impressed with that. That is Yoomp from 2007. Check it out. Hope you enjoyed that. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again next time. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please help out the channel by leaving a like or a comment and subscribing. New episodes of Atari A to Z are on Tuesdays and Atari ST A to Z on Thursdays. Check out atariatoz.wordpress.com for a full archive. Do please also check out my other projects moegamer.net, where I explore Japanese and Japanese-inspired games from yesterday and today, and videopackgames.wordpress.com, which aims to catalogue a small but well-formed library of the Philips G7000 Videopack computer, also known as the Magnavox Odyssey 2. You can also support my work on Patreon or buy me a coffee. You can find links to do both down in the video description. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time.